Let's talk about a fear a lot of high achieving women in relationships don't want to admit out loud. And that fear is if I leave, will people think I messed up? Will people blame it on me? Will people say I should have stayed? I should have endured? I should have prayed? I should have been sexier? All those different things. And I know that's probably not the fear you expected me to name because most people assume it's if I leave, I'll be alone or I can't do life by myself. But the most common fear, at least that I hear, is actually what will it say about me? How will I be perceived? And this is one of the signs of the strong Black woman trap that I talk about. So if you relate to this, stay with me. I've talked to women since I started fitness coaching and then transitioned into life coaching who've been in relationships for years and years, 10 years, 15 years, 1 year, 2 years, the range. And many of them have built routines. They've shared apartments, shared homes, bought homes together, bought property together, invested. They've merged lives. Essentially, that's what has happened. They've introduced some of them in the early stages of relationships, have introduced him to their families. They've taken trips, they've done birthdays, holidays, all those different things. And yet they still felt unseen. Not miserable, not even necessarily unhappy, but definitely disconnected, detached, and nowhere near fulfilled or feeling like they thought being in a relationship would make them feel. But the thing holding them back from moving or leaving was not love. It was the story that leaving would tell. Because society looks at Black women, high achieving women, as people who must endure, who must be there, who must always, who should basically dedicate their lives to doing whatever it takes to be successful, to make everything work, including relationships. And that's that fear. The story behind what leaving would tell or reveal. But here's what's actually underneath it, and here's what actually underneath it. Leaving makes it look like I chose wrong to begin with. When you leave, one of the stories or one of the fears underlying the story is that it makes you look like you chose wrong. It makes it look like I chose wrong because I built this life, I've created this life with this person. We're known as a couple. Some of us even have that power couple label. Families are blended. Um, Friends are used to seeing the significant other's name attached to yours. You're used to going about as a couple or showing up as a couple. So walking away feels like opening yourself up to being studied, like you're this phenomena that needs to be examined. What happened? Why didn't it work? Was it her? What did she do? Why couldn't she make it work? What's out there? This is better than what is out there. The devil, which is horrible in and of itself. There's no devil is better, known or unknown. So it's not the breakup itself that feels heavy. It's the feelings or the treatment or the stories associated with the breakup, the leaving, that feel heavy. It's being exposed or the feeling of being exposed. And here's the thing I want to say brown men, black men don't carry this in the same way. I'm being very specific to people who look like me, women and men. When they leave, they get his leveling up. It's about time. She was a gold digger. Now it's time to focus on yourself. She wasn't aligned anyway. But when it's us, why didn't she try hard enough? And if you relate, when you watch this, let me know. Comment below. Tell me that you've seen this happen or you've experienced it if you want to. I know that I'm not the only one who's seen this happen. So it's always a completely different story with them. Second is if I walk away, if I leave, I lose the identity that everyone knows me by. the identity that I've hinged myself to. One of two, a couple. Because you weren't just in a relationship, you built a role inside of it. For some of us, when we share who we are, when we're asked, who are you? First thing that comes out is wife, partner, because we have identified ourselves within this role. This is a role that we're performing, and it's part of our identity. Not bad, not good, but that's what it is. And within that role, there's the dependability of having you, there's the planning that you do. The role entails planning, being dependable, being reliable, being steady, keeping things going, maintaining things, being the woman who has it all together in this relationship. So when you leave, there's this feeling of dismantling that order of things, that operation that is going on quite well, that you've set up, where things are working for, not necessarily for you, because when you leave, clearly it wasn't working. And so there's this feeling of, I'm going to dismantle all of this that I've set up. And this version of yourself that you've worn for so long will no longer be. And that could feel terrifying for some, because you don't know what comes next. Is this, what next? Will I find what I'm looking for? Will the next be even half as good, even though this wasn't good? The unknown, right? So it's not that you want to stay and continue the facade or continue to be dissociated and disconnected and not have your needs met. It's that staying feels like you're maintaining that image and just keeping the status quo going. And living feels like you're starting over without a script, like just going out into the blind and figuring it out. And the third thing that I want to share is that leaving forces us, you, me, to admit how unhappy we have really been. That one is a big one. It's the hardest truth to swallow, because if you are admitting to yourself that after 25 years, 30 years, 15 years, 5 years, doesn't matter how long, that you were unhappy, what does that say about you? So, as long as you stay in it, as long as you still maintain it, you can justifiably say it's not that bad. We're okay. It's just a phase. It will pass. There's no good thing anyway. The grass is watered on the other side, or whatever, all those things we say to make ourselves feel better. Relationships have seasons. And I'm not being I'm being a little facetious, but I'm not being fickle, because I do realize that there are seasons of life, and if you've been in a relationship long term, things do happen. But what I'm talking about in particular is staying in relationships that have long expired, relationships that emotionally have been fulfilling for a long time, if ever. Staying in, not because there's a connection or there's a feeling of togetherness, or your needs are being met, or you're being seen, or you're feeling safe or respected, but staying in one in the absence of all these things is what I'm saying. So the moment that you leave, the truth becomes undeniable, because you cannot, it's basically like you've said it, you can't unsay it. Folks have seen it, they can't unsee it. And it's like you were shrinking, you were carrying it all, it's all out there basically, right? You were doing all the things. And sometimes it feels easier to just continue like that than facing the repercussions or the fallout of it. And that's why many high achieving women stay. Not for fear of leaving, not for fear of what leaving, but for fear, excuse me, of what leaving will reveal. Reveal about who you've been, reveal about the mask you've been wearing, the performance you've been putting on, about what you've tolerated, about the standards that you have lowered while you have raised the tolerance level, about the pieces of yourself that you abandoned to stay in this. That's what it is about. And that fear may feel loud, but know this: it is not louder than your desire to feel like yourself again. So I'm going to ask you, If nobody was watching, what choice would you make today? Not the choice that maintains an image, or the choice that feels easier, or the choice that has been programmed, or that is expected of you. The choice that you make, your choice. Because that answer, the one that you barely want to admit to yourself, is the beginning of your soft life. And so, if this is resonating, if you see yourself in any part of this, or someone that you know, I would love for you to join myself and other ladies on December 27th at 6 p.m. Eastern for my newly created masterclass. It's called the Soft Life Shift Masterclass. And know that what you're seeking for is on the other side of this class, because I'm breaking down the real reason that choosing yourself feels uncomfortable, makes you feel guilty, keeps you resistant, how your identity has gotten tied to roles, relationships, performing, and wearing a mask, and the micro shifts that help high achieving Black women stop abandoning themselves finally, all of it without guilt. And the link to join us is in the description. I shall see you in the next live.